All right, so today we are talking about knocking parent engagement out of the box, and I'm your host for today, Sarita Sashington. So today's conversation, we're going to first take a look at your view of parents or our view of parents, and then how you engage them. Then we're going to wrap up with checking our blind spots because blind spots can be pretty dangerous. So we're going to make sure we touch on blind spots and we're going to make sure we don't have anything, we want to make sure we don't have anything hindering us from seeing parents in all of their greatness. Okay? So let's do it. Let's have a conversation. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So the first thing we're going to address is the view. Next. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think of a time when you felt valued and appreciated by your agency or your organization. Okay? Just think about it. What did they do that made you feel that way? And how did it affect your connection to the organization? Take a moment, think about it, drop it in the chat. If you prefer to raise your hand and come on screen with us, we can totally do that. So I'm looking for you to drop it in the chat. And if you want to come on screen, you can. And Andrew is our tech for today. Yay! Think of a time when you felt valued and appreciated by your agency or your organization. Stephanie, you got your hand raised. Come on.
Hey, Sarita.
Hey, Stephanie.
So, oddly enough, yesterday was my annual review with my agency. And this was the first one where I just felt so valued and appreciated for the work that I put in here. They heard my concerns, they addressed them. And even in times when I felt like nobody was listening, they came to this meeting prepared to make my job even easier than it already is. And so knowing that they knew coming into this that I had concerns and that they had already done the work to help me feel better, just really made me feel more connected to them. It just made me feel more like part of this team. So I really appreciated them being open-minded and working with me on that.
I love it. Thank you, Stephanie. How did it affect your connection to the organization?
It just made me feel like valued. It made me feel connected. I felt like I could bring, in the future, if there were more concerns, I wouldn't have to hesitate to bring it to them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. Thank you, Stephanie. All right. We had another hand up, Andrew. Hey, Colette.
Hi. So, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So, I've been with my organization since 2017, and it's the first time every staff meeting, we have a staff meeting once a month, and we do an appreciation every staff meeting. We tell what we appreciate about someone. I mean, it's awesome. The organization makes you feel so valued, and then it also makes you want to work harder for your organization because you're being truly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. That. Thank you. Thank you, Colette. Thank you,
Oh, you
Stephanie. Thank you for sharing, jumping in with me. I love it. And let's see what some people are saying in the chat. I hear a lot of, they said thank you. They give me notes. Thank you, notes. And list amazing things they've done. They listened intentionally and paid attention. Love it. Thanks for their contribution. Let's see. I felt heard and respected and cared for in their listening. And they made changes. Yes. When I gave the admin a big idea and then we did it together. Come on now. When my supervisor said to me, I know and see what you do. Love it. I was thanked for my success at work and it made me feel more valued and connected. A simple, genuine, in person expression of thank you. I love it. I love it. I love it. I feel very bonus and I received a bonus last year. Oh wow. Highlighted staff's community and gave short synopsis about me, but also supervisor wrote something positive about me. They had a huge welcome banner that said, Welcome Yamuna. Yes. Love it. Hey, Amuna. I was acknowledging the team meeting for being new and jumping right in. When upper leadership was made aware of and bragged about something I'd done that was not outside my role. I love it. I love it. My program manager and coworkers have birthday celebrations and pick me up snacks when needed. It's the little things. Fantastic. I love it. That's exactly why we're having this conversation today. Of how, value and appreciation and what lens you're looking at. All right, next slide, Andrew. So, why do you think we chose this question to kick off this conversation? We chose this question because using the lens of equity is a parallel process. It is valuing and appreciating people the way that you want to be valued and appreciated. The basis for engaging parents is developing relationships that are based on respect and equality and feeling valued and appreciated. This feeling is a feeling. This feeling is a foundation of equity, and the feeling of inclusion makes families feel like they have fair access. Emotional intelligence and cultural humility combined with sharing power is absolutely the foundation for engaging parents, which is the opposite of patronizing, condescending, or tokenizing. What we're saying today is that the lens of equity starts off with value and appreciating each other. That when we value and appreciate each other, we produce more equity and more justice and more equality than if we have a different kinds of lens. Our premise is that when you feel valued and appreciated, that it is because people are looking at you through a lens that will lend itself to more equality, more inclusion, more quality, more respect, and therefore more engagement. Next slide. At BSF, we use AI as a process that promotes an equities lens. And one of the foundations of AI is having an appreciative stance. It's how you hold yourself by appreciating others. It's the work you're doing with people as equals. So this is about respect. Having an appreciative inquiry or appreciative stance is about respect. It's about dignity, flexibility, being on equal levels. It's one of the first principles of family support where professionals work with parents and relationships based on equality and respect. No matter what power you may have with parents, you can still have an appreciative stance of each other. It also speaks to a mindset that dictates how you engage with people. It's a work in progress. It's something that you always have to be reminding yourself of because it's done at every stage. It's easy when clients or parents first walk in the door, it's all gravy. But it gets harder when there are problems, when trauma shows up, which is when it's even more important to have an appreciative stance. Being able to maintain an appreciative stance depends on how you're viewing the person. So let's look at how parents feel like they're being viewed. Next slide. Ooh, I hate this. So this list comes from how parents have said they sometimes feel when they're being viewed when they need services, or when they're engaged with human service professionals, or when they're in a position of being helped. They feel like they're being seen through this lens. Now, these adjectives are not an accusation. This list came from parents about how they feel, you know, they feel they're being viewed when they're receiving services. If you felt like it's, sometimes it's unintentional and it's also a little subconscious, right? If you felt like someone was looking at you in this way, poor, pitiful, penniless, promiscuous, peons, angry, aggravated, aggressive, resistant, emotional, needy, traumatized, them, sneaky, sabotaging, sinners. Ugh. How inclined would you be to engage? And then what energy would you bring to the engagement? If I, as a parent, if I need the service, I still show up. if I have to get my kids back and have to deal with this person with this bad attitude, or if I really need the money, I have to suck it up and still show up. But I'm not likely to want to come to the Christmas party. I'm definitely not likely to want to be a parent leader. Not a chance. If providers and professionals view parents as negative with the other positive view and the way the system is, afterwards, the workers or the professional gets to feel like they transform parents from negative to positive. It's like the Pygmalion effect, where someone's high expectations improve our behavior and therefore our performance in a given area. It suggests that when we do better when more is expected of us. So once parents become this deserving person, then they can be in the club. Then we want you. It's like parents never start from the positive, they start from a negative, and we, with our high expectations, transform them into positive, acceptable parents. So what I like to do is I like to, um, Andrew, go to the next slide for me. I hate that parents feel that way. And I used to be a parent and I resonated with all of those with being viewed that way. I'm still a parent, but when I was a parent, a younger parent, I hated feeling like that's how I was being viewed. So what I'd like for you to do is to help me a little bit. If you could come up with put some positive adjectives in the chat, or you can raise your hand and come up and share some positive adjectives to go with each one of these letters. This spells out parents, right? If you could help me, but just dropping some positive adjectives in there, I love it. I love it. I see them coming across. Yeah, come on. Put some positive. We need some for A. I see a lot of P's. We need a lot of A. We need some A's. We need some E's. We need some N's. We need some T's. Yes, come on, guys. Yes, that's right. Tenacious, awesome, accountable, able. I love it. Resilient, assertive, advocates, partners, real, rad, sacrificial. Come on. Yes. Yes, strong, supportive, special. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, Andrew, next slide. So this is how, so we had parents come up and give us some change from the negative to the positive and how they see themselves. And you're right, it resonates. It totally matches with everything that you guys put in there. And this is how they see themselves: passionate, powerful, practical partners, awesome, amazing assets, resourceful, resilient, respected, remarkable, entrepreneurs, energized, emphatic, efficient, knowledgeable, necessary, talented, trying, smart, sassy. Yeah, yeah, right. That's how they see themselves. So when you see this negative and this positive, think about what difference does having a positive view of the parents you serve make for parent engagement? When are you more positive when you're engaging with parents, and when are you more negative? It's all about the lens we're using. How you view a person has everything to do with how you engage with them. How I feel viewed has everything to do with how I show up. Now that we've discussed the lens you're using, let's talk about the engagement of it all. Next slide. And I see the chat jumping off the chain. I love it. So let's talk about engagement. Next slide. Engaging parents isn't rocket science. If you treat people the way you want, the way you like to be treated, with value and appreciating what they bring to the table, you absolutely cannot lose. So let's talk about building your relationships with intentionality. Just do it. Next slide. So these next slides, we're just going to have conversations. I'm going to ask a question, and then I just really want to hear from you, right? How how we do this engagement piece, right? So let's talk about building relationships. What comes to mind for you when you hear relationships connected to parent engagement? Trust. Okay. Transparency. Yeah, yeah, come on. Respect, mutual respect, kindness, support. Foundation, trust, home to school partnerships, honesty, empowering, understanding, active listening. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fidelity, caring. I love it. Ideas, compassion, no judgment. Come on, collaborative partnership. Yes. Empathy, not sympathy. Come on. Yes. Homeschool connection, confidentiality. Come on. You guys are speaking my language. This is like music to my ears. We all have strengths, support, getting to know each other. So let me ask another question. Why you guys didn't tell me I had like lipstick on mine? Did you guys see that? Okay. All right. So let me ask you, what ways do you currently build relationship with the parents that you serve? We did say trust. In what ways are you currently building relationship with them? Talking, asking questions, communicating, keeping promises, active listening. Yeah. Come on. I see you being reliable, being myself and not being a hater. Calling to check on them. Yes. Personal calls. Yes. Opening doors is difficult. Many touch points. Being transparent. Being considerate. Boundaries. Come on. Relating to them. Empathy for their individual challenges and providing the resources. Yes. Positive things about their child. Respect them. Safe. Yes. Commonalities. Come on. Fantastic. Showing that they care. Don't break promises or make promises I can't keep. Make myself available. I love it. Not judging. So here's some other ways. Those are ways that I also build relationship. Here's some other practical ways that we can put into play, right? When we're talking about building relationships with parents. And some of these you said, talk about being authentic. You ask about their families. There was nothing more frustrating for me as a mom when my daughter was younger. They called me every chance they could to talk about like negative stuff or give me bad reports. It's like, can I please get a good report to the point that I just dreaded hearing from them, right? Meet a need. I've learned that parents don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. Meet a need. Connect them with the person with some resources. Oftentimes, we're trying to get parents to come to our services and then we're upset when they don't come to meetings and things like that. They may be in need and trying to meet a need. So if we help with connecting them to the need, that builds relationship and also makes them feel more comfortable to come into whatever it is that we're having. Personal invites, I saw that. Gentle reminders prior to the events via text and email and social media. Follow up, after events, the personal phone calls. I love personal phone calls. When I was a parent coordinator, I remember we had like a parent sort of like a parent university, something similar. We had these classes, and my my registrants for parents got up to like 100 people. And every day, every week, I'd be calling these people with a personal phone call, like, hey, just wanted to remind you, hey. And my colleagues would talk about me so bad. They're like, Sarita, are you really calling all of these parents? I am. I am calling all these parents because I want them to come to what I'm doing. I want them to know I care. If they didn't show up, I did a personal phone call. Invest in parent cafes. I mean, this is a shameless plug, but what better way to get people building relationships with the staff, with one another, and in the community than the parent cafe? Set up meet and greets. One of the things that I used to do when I was a parent coordinator is, especially during the winter time, I would set up in the front hallway with like hot chocolate and juice bottles and muffins. So when the parents came to drop their kids off, they sign my contact sheet and I give them those things. That way I got to meet them, they got to meet me, and it was a great way of building relationship. Collaborate with community organizations to bring in resources or things for them to do. Non-judgmental, heard a lot of that, and asking instead of assuming. I love that I heard the ask, the ask, the ask. That's exactly it. All right, next slide. How do you currently, so intentionality, right? Let me say this, is there's a difference between going downstairs to get the mail and then falling down the stairs. So I intend to go get the mail, but how will I go downstairs to get the mail? Will I throw myself out a window? Will I roll down the stairs? Will I have somebody hoist my big butt down the stairs? No. I'll walk down the stairs. I'll walk down the stairs. So just like that doesn't happen by chance, good parent engagement also doesn't happen by chance. How do you currently get people to come to your events? Let's see what y'all saying in the chat. Person specific invites, text, call, email, face to face, however you can, but be person specific. Yes. Personal invites. Oh my goodness. Reduce barriers. Oh, come on. Come on. Provide dinner and childcare for siblings. Okay, we can work on that, Adrian. Reminders. Yes, flyers, conversations. If anybody wants to come online, raise your hand. I'll put you on with me. Several reminders. Yes, Facebook gift card raffles, free food. Yeah. Any others? Giveaways, definitely. Any others? Come on. How do you currently get people to come to your events? Parent referrals. I've noticed that face-to-face, giveaways yes, they're an awesome idea. Let's see. I've noticed that face-to-face that involves a child. I'm trying to get this. I keep losing it. Somebody has a good one in here and I can't get it. They're all good. Has a child activity is better for everybody. Great. Activities for families, music, paying parents. Come on. Somebody just speak in tongues. Paying parents for their expertise dependent on the event. Asking past parents to invite new parents. Kathleen, come on. Come on, girl, come talk to me.
Hi, how are you? So
I'm fantastic.
Parent engagement is my favorite, and I just changed organizations. I worked for Berkshire County Head Start in Massachusetts, and now I'm with Family Services in Pennsylvania. So my best experience working with parents is invite the parents, have an activity with the parents, have family meals together, because there used to be like we'd have the kids in one room and the families the other, start together. And then instead of separating out the parents, have family engagement at some part of it. Have them doing an activity with their child. So even if you want to have a community member to come in and you want to have an info session, you have to have those other ingredients in there. But reminders, like save the date, the month of, newsletters. But I personally called every single family. I would call them the day of, just as a reminder. I've already done those other things. I already set them up for 5 times. I've already told them over and over and over again. So my favorite conversation. That's why I love these, because I'll learn something here and I'll be like, yes, okay. But you also have to have a giveaway. You definitely do. You have to have some kind of hook,
Yeah. So, thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I love it. I love people who love parent engagement are like my like-minded. They're like my family. I love it. Okay. So I see your question, Adrian, and then we had another hand raised. Hey, Kim.
Hi, everybody. Hey. I was just going to say, I put in the chat that we remind people of what we're having and how we appreciate their support. We're doing a parent cafe on Thursday, and we're doing a 10-year challenge. Let's talk about it. Where do you see yourself today? So, and we have about supposedly 13 coming.
Love it.
Online. So that's how we try to get families to come, and they seem excited about it too. So
love it. Thank you, Kim.
You're
It's a
welcome.
good idea. Everybody should have a cafe. Let's see what's in the chat. Thank you, guys. Let's see. So Tammy had a question. How do you get people to come if your agency isn't able or willing to provide them with payment, gift cards for attending, or for child care for virtual events / cafes? Anybody want to answer that question for her? How do you get people to come if your agency isn't able or willing to provide them with payment? Let's see. Anybody trying to take that on? Go ahead, Stephanie. Come on.
So I had literally just put that in the chat. If you're not able to provide some sort of monetary or, physical, I guess, gift, I think you just have to get them in on the fun. You have to include them. So our parent cafe, it's a group of ladies and I absolutely love them. We have 8 to 10 every month that consistently come, and they always want to know what's the next theme? What's the next theme? Because girl, you've seen our cafes. We go all out. Like the whole room is decorated. The food is themed with it. The music is themed with it. And next month, they have been talking about our glow party from the get-go. They still love our glow parties. We're doing 80s night next month. And before they left last night, they were like, okay, what is the theme? We're going to dress up. So now it's like a costume contest. Like now they know we're expecting something from them, and we're going to check in with them like, hey girl, I can't wait to see your outfit. Like, I can't wait to see what you come up with. These women are so excited for the theme and to get to be a part of the cafe other than just be a participant.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, so it sounds like they help to plan the cafe, the themes. They asking because they're a part of the planning or the creating the themes?
So essentially, when I was hired, I took 12 themes and bought all the supplies. And so they're planned out already in advance, but we let them know what it is. And so, this month is going to be 80s, and then we still have Mardi Gras coming up. We just did Welcome to the Jungle. It's all something that we obviously provide the environment, but there's so much that our parents can bring with them to make it even more engaging. And that's what we challenge them to do, is to be part of the fun. And it's working. Every month it just gets more and more fun.
And I just want to say that I happen to love, guys, if you get trained to do cafes, then you can be a part of our private Facebook group. But when Stephanie posts those pictures and they do go all out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm stealing so many of their themes. I love it. And I'm still talking about the glow up one too. And It's a Girl, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
They love it.
Thank you,
the neon powder that we put on the food became face paint and body paint. And it was one wild and crazy parent cafe, but it was.
I can't wait to go back to in person. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks for sharing. Let's see what other people said. We are doing virtual group connectors. We usually have the parents come pick up materials for an activity and some snacks. That way we have discussion about the activity and how it went. Cool. Ask your community what they want. Yes, Kathleen. You can see if you can get volunteers or partners to help with food and or donations or prizes. Yes. I support getting training for the parent cafes. Hey, Agnes! Good to see you. Fantastic. Yes, these are some great ideas for, being intentional, right? Because let me tell you, when I was doing parent engagement, and I was a parent coordinator, working with the younger parents who were not representatives of working with the younger coordinators who were not representative of the community, they struggled with, how do we do this? How do we do this? What do you mean? I'm like, it's about relationship. It's about being intentional. It isn't just about showing up. It's not going to happen because you wished it to happen. It's going to happen because you put some time in. So what are some other practical ways that we can be intentional about getting, engaging parents, right? And I think Kathleen said it. She said, really ask them what they want, involve them. As a parent, it really is nothing about us without us. I don't know about you, but I absolutely despise coming to things where people have planned stuff for me in advance, and then they're upset if I don't vibe with it. You know, if I don't feel it, I'm like, yeah, I've already been to like 12,000 stress workshops. I don't want to come to anymore. But if you do a different spin on it, I might think about it. If it's not the same old, right? You can invest in designating a parent coordinator or a parent liaison. This person is responsible for building relationships and connecting parents to resources, helping them to get comfortable, helping to meet their needs. A designated coordinator, parent coordinator, key. It is one of the best things you can do for your organization because that person is going to be the person whose job it is to do all those things and is not going to be like an afterthought. Many a times, oftentimes with parent engagement, it's treated like an afterthought. So um, so it isn't given to, there's no designated person. It just gets handed off to somebody who already has 1,000 other things, and it becomes a low priority on the totem pole. And they're like, oh, I don't have time for this. They send out stuff late. They just throw stuff together without parent input, any of those things. And then they're just like, oh, if you have then they're like, oh, these parents, they don't care. They don't go to come talk about their parents, and it's not true. So invest in maybe a designated parent coordinator. Um, Include the parents in everything from the beginning. Don't just, I know when you first get trained, like in cafes and stuff, you have to get warmed up, but include them in everything. Include them in helping to create the theme. Oftentimes, you know, I've seen in my experience where they have flyers and the flyers look like the regular professional stuff, right? That nobody wants to come to. But I can always tell oftentimes when parents have been involved in the planning because the titles of the workshops or the cafes, whatever, they're real. They're stuff that draws parents. They're relatable. It's stuff that people want to come to. Is not like, oh, imagine you're stressed. Let me tell you how to discipline your kids. It's not those. There's some really fun, great ways that you can attract parents to your events. um, Designate funds. Put a line item in the budget. When people are saying we don't have money for parent engagement, lies. Title One, if you're in a Title One school, they have money that's set aside for parent engagement. Use the money for parent engagement, but include the parents. Sometimes I don't know if they still have Title One committees like advisory councils. But if they don't, they should. Every agency should put in a parent advisory council who can give feedback on how they'd like to use the funds. If you're in community school, when I was a coordinator, um, we had money for parent engagement or family engagement. So what the young managers would do is they would take the bulk of the money and give it to all to the kids and then say, oh, we don't really have any money for parent engagement. Well, you just spent $3,000 or $7,000 on a program for kids. Each session you're doing this, but you don't have money to put any money toward parent engagement. It was at, designating funds for parent engagement was at their discretion. That's a no. If the kids get it, they just take it back home and they leave it there. It just stays with them. But if you give it to the parents, it trickled down to the children, to the family, and then to the community. So write a line item in your budget for food, activities, personal development, all of those things. This way, you're being intentional about getting parents in the door. Go to the audience, use social media, use email, use text, lean into the discomfort of doing something different. You can't get stuck in your way of that's not the way we've always done it. We always only do it this way. Um, when I was a parent coordinator, we didn't have we couldn't use social media, right? When social media was first getting big, you couldn't be on Facebook, you couldn't use your computer to do any of those things. I went on my personal computer, on my phone, my personal phone, and text people. I went and did Facebook. Now, the job was antiquated. They didn't understand that we were moving toward, progressing. But I knew as a parent that my audience, other parents, were on social media. So that's where I needed to be, even if I felt a little discomfort. Professional development for staff, for engaging parents. If you have staff, one way you can be intentional is professional development for that staff so they know better how to engage parents, so they can embrace diversity, so they can learn cultural competency. There's no excuse. Yes, it's good to provide professional development for the children and all that they need, but if you're looking at a family approach and not just a children approach, do that as well. Implement some professional development for your staff. Create family friendly, culturally responsive, multicultural, inclusive environments. What's this? Welcome signs in the languages represented throughout the school or the community. And the staff that can speak and is representative of the community where your agency or your school is located. Hire diverse staff and those that have experience actually engaging parents. And I'm talking about like lived experience, not so much education is great, but if you get people that have lived experience, for us, when we started Be Strong Families, everybody who came to Be Strong Families, we came in a lived experience. And here we are 10 years later, slamming the game. Why? Because lived experience definitely has value, right? Um, Make communication available to all families. So traditional social media, text, different languages. Yeah. Establish some parent advisory councils. And I heard someone else say this, removing barriers. Remove barriers, provide childcare if you can, provide food, connected resources. Have listening sessions. I saw someone in the chat say, how do you uh, how do you engage parents when it's online? Well, some of these things still work. The personal phone calls, have a listening session, set up a time with your parents and invite them to come and share how you can best support them. What I've learned is that the way that I think that I need to support somebody is not always the way that they feel supported. So I may feel like, if I throw this, put together this set of workshops or cafes or themes for you, then I know that that's how that's the best way to support you. But it may not be. It may not be what makes me feel supported. What would make me feel supported is if you ask me, what kind of ways, what kind of things can we put in place to make you feel supported? Sometimes they don't know. And that's okay for you to come with some suggestions. But to create all of that without having them, also when you share power, what does that look like? That's also an equity land, right? Of like political equity, sharing power. So when they come to a meeting, when parents come to a meeting, if you're being intentional, if they're on the agenda, first of all, help them prepare for the agenda. And if they're on the agenda at a meeting where you guys have already previously met, then take the time to actually talk to them about what's happening on the agenda. If they have some concerns or feedback or they like something put on the agenda, put it up so that it can actually be addressed and that it is never end. I had that happen so many times where I come to a meeting and they've already previously met the staff, the professionals in the room, whoever, and then they ask for my feedback, I give it, or I put something on the agenda, and then every time they would put it at the end of the agenda and never get to it. Didn't make me feel very supported just because you put my stuff on the agenda. I would like for us to address what I put on the agenda and then for my voice to be heard because it's an important matter. And we had to have that conversation and it began to happen. It doesn't make sense if you ask me for something, you ask me what I want, and then you don't make good on it, or you don't even try to make good on it. So communication is key. The same things that apply in person, they do apply in the uh online. Those things is really about building relationship, is really about being intentional and being creative and thinking outside the box where parent engagement is concerned. There's so many ways to think outside the box where parent engagement is concerned. So, Andrew, let's see. Let me see what's in the chat. Engaging families and planning is key. Thank you, Kathleen. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. All right, Andrew, let's keep going. Let me see. Wait, Adrian says, how do we volunteer? Volunteer what? This is moving. Are your theme cards available to everyone online? No, just on Facebook. Ha ha ha. Yes, they invite parents. Engaging families is key. Fostering resilient learners is a great book for staff. They invite parents to Title I meetings here in St. Louis. That's so helpful. Yeah, and when they invite them, are they listening to them when they come? And then Kathleen said also need to be flexible in our original plans. Oh my gosh, that is such a huge one, Kathleen. Oh my goodness, flexibility is everything. There was nothing more frustrating to me as a parent than to have someone say, we only have the meetings at, you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm I'm like, so what about the parents who are working and really want to be here? Can we have some evening meetings? Oh no, because the teachers don't want to leave and come back, So once they leave for the day, they're gone. So we want to keep it. No, that doesn't work for me. Or community schools. Community schools, you can set up, you can work with the principals in the school to have meetings, on Saturdays in the evening. But so many times people are like, oh no, girl, I work until I get off at 3 o'clock or I get off at 5 o'clock. So then that's not flexible. How do you get those parents who really do want to be involved, who want to come after work? What about those parents? I mean, I'm just saying, I love it. Flexibility is huge. Thank you, Kathleen. I love it. If it bends, it won't break. Love it. Have a luncheon and a dinner. Yes. One of the things that got me to Be Strong Families was I came in, they had Boston Market. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I stayed awake after we ate to have conversations because Boston Market is like off the chain and really good. It's like comfort food. Okay, so let's keep moving. Thanks, guys. Thank you for helping me with this conversation today or this discussion. So we're gonna keep moving. What's a blind spot? Go back, Andrew. Thank you. What's a blind spot? You guys remember blind spots? Like when you're driving and I just had this happen the other day. I'm driving, I got to the stop sign, I got ready to go, and I caught like a glimpse of something out the corner of my eye, my peripheral. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? Total truck was there. And I didn't see it because it was in my blind spot. And I was like, oh my gosh, that could have been so dangerous. Well, how many times in leadership, a blind spot can be the Achilles heel of leadership? Like, what does it look like? Weaknesses are aspects that we intentionally strengthen with practice and time or desire. And a blind spot, however, is like a personal trait or aspect that we don't even know that we may have that may limit the way we act or react or behave or believe. And therefore, it limits our effectiveness. I can't be a good leader if I'm not noticing the people around me, if I have assumptions about the people around me, the people that I'm serving. Eventually, that's a blind spot, and it can be a danger. It breaks down the effectiveness of my parent engagement, my efforts. I'm saying I want parent engagement, but then it allows me to but having those blind spots leads me to do something else because I want parents. I say I want parents. It's, something to check off my to-do list. It shouldn't be. So many times, assumptions stop us from reaching out and doing all that we could do to engage parents. So let's take a look at a great video that challenges our assumptions. Andrew?
Are you seriously considering her as a candidate?
Don't trust her.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
This is a man's
She's
job.
clearly not educated.
Really? Does she even speak English?
That's not me. I'm not like that. You call it an honest mistake. Science calls it a blind spot. Our unconscious mind is a mysterious and powerful thing. It makes 90% of our decisions without us even knowing it. Our brains are overloaded with 11 million pieces of information every second. Yet we can only process about 40 of them. So we're wired to make cognitive shortcuts, using past experiences to make assumptions. And you know what happens when we assume? Our unconscious mind can put us on autopilot, determining where we sit, who we eat lunch with, who we turn to for advice, and who we choose to offer a helping hand. Living our lives with blind spots can put us in a tunnel. Same point of view, same decisions, same outcomes. We can find ourselves trapped in the land of snap judgments and misconceptions. We've all been on both the giving and receiving end of blind spots. Think about it. Who's talented? Who's able? Who can I trust? Who belongs? We've all been there. Blind spots are part of the human condition. Our choices have consequences for us and the people we interact with. By accepting that blind spots exist, we can stop. Imagine what possibilities exist if we could do it all over again. Different perspectives, inclusive relationships, diverse networks, better outcomes, seeing people for who they really are. People like you with unlimited potential. We all have blind spots. Once you accept that you have them, you can choose to do something about it. It's time to check your blind spots and focus on what's possible.
Yay! So in wrapping up today, if I could ask you to do anything, if I could encourage you to do anything today, yes, I encourage you to build relationships. I encourage you to, be intentional, but I also encourage you to assume the positive today. Assume that parents are the experts of their own families, and so they know better than anybody else what works for their family and what doesn't work. Assume that parents are full of resources. Assume that parents are educated in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. Assume that parents love their children, all of them. Assume that parents know what they want and what they need. Assume that parents are natural leaders. Assume that you are more like parents than you think. Matter of fact, you might be the parent. And one day you might be in their shoes. So assume the positive, check your views, work on your engagement, and then make sure to join us back here next week for the rest of our webinars. Next slide. So what's happening? I hope you enjoyed today. I hope today was a good conversation. You guys, I love being with like-minded people, and you guys just did the dang thing. I'm so glad when I don't have to work hard. So Andrew is putting the poll up for us. So take a moment and complete the poll. You're so welcome, Kim. Thank you for being here. Oh wait, Andrew, did we talk about where we're engaging, where we're amplifying? What are we amplifying? Hashtag amplify parent engagement. Drop an amplify in the chat for me. What are you amplifying today? You're going to amplify relationship, amplify. What are you going to amplify? Fantastic. And then amplify. So we're going to skip the slide. Oh, you guys suck. Amplify parent power. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Don't forget to join us for next week's webinars. Shout out to February 2nd. We're going to have Suicide Real Talk with Felicia Houston. She's going to be here talking about, you guys know Regina King lost her son, right? Oh, suicide among young people. You got to be here for that because I'm a parent with young adults, and man, I need to be here for that conversation. You probably could stand from being here for that conversation too. Thanks, guys, for making today fantastic. You guys totally rock. Yay! What's next, Andrew? Oh my gosh, guys, if you guys have not been coming to the Taste of Cafes, you gotta come. Okay. So I forgot what this one is, this Friday. But register for the cafe. Invite people. Invite your parents. If you're not having cafes, this is another opportunity for you to send your parents to online cafes. So invite some people. Come to some cafes for lunch. Thank you, Lucia. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope I gave you guys some things to think about. If you hadn't thought about some of those ways to be intentional, I definitely hope that I gave you some things to think about. Amplified Cafes rock. Boom. Thanks, Bryn. Thank you. All right. Next. Oh, wow. Questionable. If you haven't bought Questionable, you should check out the Questionable game. I had such a great time. Look at my family down there. We had such a great time playing Questionable. If you haven't purchased this game, you're missing out. I actually have another Questionable game planned for February, sometime in February with my family too. We had a great time learning about each other. All right, guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week. Yay!